This morning, the subject for our walk is striving. I don't know if I could say entire life, but at least those parts of my life that I can remember well, I can't remember really a time of life, clearly, that wasn't about striving for something. Striving for success, striving for grades, striving for money, striving for a mate, striving for a laugh, just to get someone to laugh, striving to get someone to like me, striving to fit in, striving to be tough, striving to win an event. So in my case, striving has occupied a very, very, very large portion of my energy in life. Growing businesses, the book that I wrote. And then recently, I had an experience in meditation where I felt very strongly guided to a place, I guess. As I say, it's a place because it's both experiential, but also visually, it was a place. And in this place, when I entered into it for the first time, which was over the weekend, this last weekend, I had the experience, again, for the first time that I can remember in my life. I imagine this was the way I was born and lived the very first few years of my life. But I had this experience of striving just completely disappearing. You know, a form of striving that was about, it would be better to get over there. It would be better to have more of this. It would be better to have less of that. So that whole experience of striving just disappeared. And in that space, what I was present to was how much of my life is just consumed by striving, and not just the activity itself, which is true, but also the underlying experience that somehow it would be better if I had the thing or the more of the things or less of the things that I'm striving for than it is right now. And this is an idea, philosophically speaking, that I've heard many, many times. I hear about it in Buddhism. I've heard about it in different transformational work I've done. But I've never experienced it where literally the striving disappeared and all that was there was the experience of being complete, perfect. Perfect, not like the ideal state of something, but perfect like there was nothing else that was needed. And it was so peaceful. And I began to see, the striving in my home for the house and, the art, if we want to, and the color on the walls, just like all the things, clothes or, fitness, to just have my experience of myself in life be that how it is right now is perfect. And it was a wave of peace and also a recognition of the insanity of living in that experiential belief that to have more of something would somehow make me more of something than I am right now. And I sat in that wave of peace and I looked over the kind of the major themes of my life that I was striving towards and realized that I can't say that it was a waste. I mean, it wasn't a waste, it's my life, but let's put it this way. Aside from the fact that I had to learn what I had to learn, the striving was largely unnecessary for happiness. So now that I've experienced that at least one time or twice, the inquiry that I'm in is there a form of, let's say, striving that isn't a response to some sense of lack or some sense of not enough? Is there a form of striving that's maybe a pure expression of love or an expression of creativity? And I don't know. But I'm looking into it. I imagine I'll have more to say about that as I experiment with it. But in the meantime, I don't know how I can share this with you in a way that's not going to just be like completely conceptual or, purely philosophical, as it was for me for so many years, other than to say, I've actually touched something now, and I would love to share it with you, even if you only experience it for a brief moment, an experience of yourself and of life the way it is, as not needing anything to be perfect. So I got there in a meditation, imagining myself walking down a tunnel of light. And I had to make sure I imagined myself inside the tunnel. It was hard for me to do that. It was easy to imagine a tunnel of light in space. I could see the tunnel against the contrast of the space around it. But to put myself inside the tunnel was very challenging, where all I saw was the walls of the tunnel. When I walked through to the end of the tunnel, it opened up into this space with this blue-white light. And I couldn't see anything visually distinct other than the light in that space, but the experience instantaneously hit me. Now, this may just be a quirky, unique visualization for myself, but just in case it's useful for you, I'm sharing it with you because it's my desire, if you're watching this, for you to get to experience that space of no longer striving for something to make yourself more, to make your life more. So thank you for watching today. I hope this has touched something in you that's nourishing and loving, as I'm sharing this with you today out of love and not striving. Have a great day. I look forward to our next conversation.